Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Lost and Found with Frankie. Thank you so much for being here in this space with me today. You're probably thinking, oh, this looks a bit different. And you'd be right. We aren't in the studio today. We're actually in my little home setup studio because I've decided to do some solo episodes for you guys. I thought it would be a really nice time for you to ask me some questions, for me to share some of your stories, and just to get to know me a little bit better. And hopefully, I can give some advice or some comfort from my experience. And yeah, we can just sit down together, grab a cup of tea, a mug of coffee, or whatever, and just feel really comfortable in the space together, have a slightly more intimate time delving into those topics that can be really quite tricky. And yeah, hopefully find some comfort in these solo episodes. I'll always be asking questions over on my Instagram at Lost and Found with Frankie for upcoming episodes. So if there's any questions or stories or experiences that you would love to pop in there to be part of the episode, please do. I would absolutely love for you guys to become more of a part of this. And yeah, so thank you for coming to the space. And I really hope that you enjoy the future of these solo episodes. So let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to Lost and Found with Frankie, a podcast for young adults and teens who are just trying to figure out who they are whilst dealing with one of life's most devastating experiences, grief. I'm Frankie, and 10 years ago, when I was 13 years old, I lost my eldest brother, Matt. Like you're probably feeling now, I felt lost, alone, angry, and completely overwhelmed with sadness, and was just craving a space where I could go and feel comforted and understood. So this podcast is my way of creating that space for you, whilst opening up the taboo topic of grief, which so many of us experience. So if you're feeling lost on your journey with grief, hi, and welcome to this safe space. Thank you so much for being here with me today. You are not alone, and I hope that this podcast brings whatever it is that you're seeking on your journey. So let's get into it. Okay, so when I was brainstorming about solo episodes I could do, I actually thought of so many. There was one topic that for some reason was standing out to me that I wanted to do first. I made like a whole mind map because sometimes I just have to like brain dump. It's sometimes grief brain or just normal brain, whatever you want it to be. I just got to get it down on a piece of paper, very much like journaling. I just have to get my thoughts down. So yeah, I thought anniversaries, they are really, really tricky to approach, think about, cope with. I just find them a bit of a weird one. So I think the reason that is because there are different types of anniversaries, and not necessarily anniversaries, like events or big dates and stuff like that. So there's obviously like the dreaded anniversary, and maybe we'll start with that one that comes around every year. And it's just awful. I find that day really hard. But I've found over the last 10 years that it can really just like depend on where I'm at in life, my headspace, where all my family are, where I'm at with my self-confidence, with my friendships. It's dependent on a lot of things, really. Like when I was at uni, it just felt like really different to how it does now. But the anniversary is just, I find, awful. I find Matt's anniversary really, really crap. And I actually had my grandma's anniversary last Wednesday. I'm recording this on Remembrance Day. And that was on my grandma's anniversary was the 6th of November. And weirdly, all of my big anniversaries, birthdays, dates all sort of sit from like August to December. So it's kind of like that horrible time where they sort of all just come one after the other. And I put something on my Instagram actually where I spoke about my grandma's anniversary and how it was her 5-year anniversary. So potentially you could say, I don't know whether I really feel this or not this year, but it's a big one, 5 years, 10 years. They tend to be like bigger ones. But Matt's 10-year anniversary, so like weird, I'm talking about all these anniversaries of people that I've lost, was just before the 5th of October. So actually really similar dates as well. And I feel like I didn't even see Nanny Pat's coming. We called her Nanny Pat. Because it felt just like a massive slap in the face because I was really rearing myself up for Matt's anniversary that Nanny Pat's was like, I didn't even see it coming, and then it just kind of hit me in the face, and I really wasn't expecting that. Actually even makes me a bit like emotional even thinking about it now. And it's so weird actually when you're not interviewing someone else. I feel like I allow my emotions to definitely filter in more. And I really struggled with Nanny Pat's anniversary actually. Yeah, it was like a really hard day. It got me thinking about a lot of stuff. And what's weird about it is when she passed away, I think everyone was like, but you've had this big loss, like this must be nothing. Not nothing, but this must be easier to cope with, easier to approach, easier to handle. And I think easier and better and harder, and they're just all they're weird words, and I don't like to use them with grief because I think there's no point in comparing things like that. They're just very different losses in really different situations, but they both carry just utter sadness, and that's the center of grief really in my experience. It's just feeling sad and missing that person. But yeah, anniversaries are a weird one, and they're tricky to approach. So we actually my mum's mum. And if you've watched our conversation, she lost her dad at 21. So we were just incredibly close with me. Nanny Pat. I just love the name Nanny Pat. She literally drove like a Postman Pat car. So her name was actually Patricia. We didn't call her that because of Postman Pat. But it was just really fitting. And yeah, she was just there through everything, the small and the big things, and she was a massive part of raising all 4 of us. And yeah, so we all on my mum's side met up and we just went for like a drink at the pub and just cheers to her, which was a really nice is a weird word, but it was a really nice anniversary actually. Yeah, but yeah, it's just weird. It's weird to use that word nice, but it was nice celebrating her. But then with Matt's anniversary, it's one of those things that we don't really tend to celebrate in the same sort of way. We sort of cocoon up as a family, make chicken pie, which was Matt's favourite meal, sit down, watch Harry Potter, which was Matt's favourite movie. We sometimes, quite a few of the years, we've gone to West Wittering, which was something we love to do as a family. So we tend to just do things, eat things, watch things that Matt loved and make us feel close to him. But we don't celebrate it as such, like we did with Nanny Pat's anniversary. And my granddad's anniversary, my dad's dad, was in August. And we sort of just met up. We go to his headstone, which is actually next to Matt's headstone, which is really nice, actually. I think that's quite nice that they're together, and it's really close to our house. So I feel like my grandparents' anniversary is very different to my brother's anniversary. And anniversary, again, I keep saying it's such a weird word because usually anniversary is like happy anniversary, like wedding or whatever, but it's kind of like, what else are you going to call it? Like, you're not going to call it like a death date, are you? That's just so, I mean, you can go for it. Maybe we'll start that, but that just feels a bit heavy. So we don't call it that. Yeah, anniversaries are tricky ones. Something else I find tricky is sharing that date with other people, friends and whatnot. I actually have a group album with all of my girl mates, and I remember saying to my mum, is it really weird if I put Matt's anniversary on my group chat as just like a subtle, hi, it's Matt's anniversary? Like, do you know what I mean? When you're craving for someone to reach out and say something, even though my friends are so good anyway and they all remember it pretty well anyway, there's also a part of me that doesn't want to ever judge them for not remembering. And so in a sense, me putting it on there is like allowing them to forget, if that makes sense, because they've got their own lives going on, but I also don't want it to be forgotten and brushed under the carpet. And I really need those messages on a day like that. I really, really find them comforting. And it just makes me feel less alone. But it's also that thing of, oh gosh, is that really selfish? I'm not too sure. Let me know your thoughts on that. I sort of to and fro with it, whether to do it or to not. And I actually don't think I did this year, speaking of. Anyway, I do tend to put something on my Instagram. And again, obviously everyone's very receptive to that. So that's also another like sort of nudge, like, oh, if you've forgotten, like, hi. Just, I don't know. It's weird. You kind of want people to remember a day like that, but it's just about comfort and not feeling alone. So yeah, am I alone in that one? Not sure. But yeah, it's hard to know what to do on an anniversary. There's a little just what I and my family do. It has changed year upon year. As I said, sometimes I've been at uni, and what's lovely about that is with 1 year at uni, we actually made a chicken pie and all ate it together up at uni with all my housemates. And we sort of transferred the tradition I had with my family over to uni. And that was really, really nice. And yeah, it's obviously like right at the start of the academic year. So yeah, it was like one of the first things we did, which was quite nice. And I went to the same uni as Matt, so I always had a bit of a connection there, and I felt really close to him there, which was quite nice. Anyway, so anniversaries, that's one. Another one is birthdays. And this is sort of twofold, I find. It's your birthday, and their birthday. From what we've done over the last 2 years, we celebrate his birthday by meeting up with all of his friends. And it's so weird to say, but it's honestly one of the most heartwarming times of the year, weirdly. Because I just love seeing his friends, and it makes me feel really, really close to him. And I know it's that thing of we give all of them a little bit of Matt, like family Matt almost, and they give us a little bit of Matt as like friend Matt. Yeah, so it's so lovely. Actually, speaking today, we saw a few of his uni friends yesterday, and we all just went we went to a British pub and had a Thai food, and it was just literally the best day. And I had been recording in the morning, so it was just a really nice, wholesome, Matt-filled day, which was, yeah, lovely. And I feel really fortunate that we are so close still with a lot of his friends. And we've maintained that friendship, relationship, closeness. It's, yeah, pretty special. And it's a tricky thing to do. It's really, really hard. But it's something we have just found in this situation that works for all of us. But yeah, so his birthday is 12th of December, just before Christmas, and actually the day before my mum's birthday. So that's always a bit of a social time, obviously with Christmas coming up anyway, but it's quite I find, positive time. It's hard leading up to it. The morning's always I always feel a bit low, but then we get to the evening, we see his mates, and I just feel close to him. And other of my family members might not feel that way, and they might do. And sometimes we don't really talk about it because I think we just kind of want it to be and just be what it is. And that's okay. Yeah. So my birthday, I find this really hard. I found birthdays hard the whole of the last 10 years. But ever since I turned 21, yeah, I think I've said this in one of my interviews with my friend Millie and my friend Shar, actually, because it was a really pivotal time, turning 21. I just was so sad. I literally cried like 3 times on my 21st birthday. It just felt so wrong to me, and I could not wrap my head around the fact that my brother, who was 9 years older than me, I was now the same age as him from when he passed away. It just felt so alien to me. It felt like an out-of-body experience, like it wasn't really my birthday. I wasn't really there. Yeah, I really struggled with that day. God, I'm getting emotional. Yeah. Yeah, and I've just turned 23, and it just feels really wrong and bizarre, and I don't really enjoy my birthday anymore, which, if you know me, it's really weird. And whether you believe in star signs or not, I'm a Leo, so my birthday every year tends to be there's always a theme, and it's always, all day, all night. And I love celebrating it. And I still do, but I always do it now on a different day. I can't do it on my actual birthday. And sadly, yeah, my birthday has sort of become slightly more like his anniversary, actually, where yeah, God, I really didn't think I was gonna get emotional talking about this at all. Sorry. Oh God, this solo setup is woo. Anyway, yeah, I find my own birthday really tricky. And that's been my experience with anniversaries over the last 10 years. It's shifted, it's changed. Some years I really, really dread a birthday or his anniversary, and it's actually ends up being fine on the day, and it's a couple of days before that I'm sad, or it hits me a month after. Like, there's no, as with grief, there's no timeline of when you're going to feel what emotion. And I just want everyone to know that that's okay. Yeah, just allow yourself to feel on those days what you want to and what you need to feel. I know this year, the 2 days before Matt's anniversary, I literally just was like numb. I couldn't function. It was like grief, brain, fog, completely. And I wasn't expecting it. I really, really wasn't expecting that to happen, but it did, and I rolled with it. I let my emotions flow, and I just sat in the numbness, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, there's lots of there's Christmas and New Year, and I think I'll speak about that separately closer to the time. Yeah, you just have to do what's right for you, and if it's a case of, as I said, I feel like each year has been really, really different for me. I feel like some years I really want people to know it's his anniversary or blah, blah, and I put it on the group calendar and I let people know and I share it all over my stories. And then some other years I'm just want to be away, and other years it really doesn't affect me, and I think another thing in society, I think massively, as I was just talking about at the start with the 5-year anniversary and the 10, they get built up. Oh my God, it's been 10 years. Oh my God, it's been 5. So you sort of start to preempt within yourself. You sort of make it worse in your head, I feel. I did that a little bit. But it also was terrible. But it's like everyone goes, oh, it's 10 years, isn't it? And it's like, yeah. God. And with coming to 10 years, I think something I'll say about anniversaries while we're talking about it sort of addresses the passage of time. And again, a misconception there is within grief is time's your biggest healer and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm not going to sit here and be completely doom and gloom, because I always say grief is like in a jar. That big analogy, I'm not sure if you've heard it. If not, I will quickly explain that your grief doesn't shrink in the jar. The jar just gets bigger, but your grief stays the same. And I find it so true with time, life just gets bigger, busier, more people flow in and out. Stuff goes on, but that grief remains the same. So sort of when you are hit with these days, whether they're anniversaries or just a day that you feel sad, the sadness is it's the same depth as it was that first day. Like the depth of that grief will never go, but you'll slowly start to just figure out the ways that work for you to allow others to pick you up, to pick yourself up. And I have found in my experience, it makes me less afraid to go to those low spaces, because I know I can move forward, not move on, pick myself up and move forward. But if I didn't allow myself the times to sink, you have to have both, I find. You have to be able to allow yourself to feel sad, to be able to then swim. Sink to swim, I guess. Anyway, yeah. So I hope you have enjoyed this safe, comforting space where we talk about different areas and emotions and troubles and queries that come with grief. And I feel like this is a big one. This is a tough one, and everything I'm saying is purely from my experience and the experience of my loved ones around me. Everyone's different. As I always say, everyone's different. Everyone's grief is different. Everyone's relationship to the person they lost is different. So your anniversary is going to be different. The way you deal with them and approach them is different. And I guess the key message to take away is that's okay. And I'm just going to end with what my mug says in terms of anniversaries and grief. Oh, you can't see it. You do you. So cheers to that. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Lost and Found with Frankie. If it's resonated with you, or if you've taken something from this episode, or if you've just sat down and enjoyed it, I'd be so grateful if you could rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hit that follow button, or if you're watching me over on YouTube, please give it a like and subscribe. I really want to reach as many young people and teens who are dealing with grief, as I know firsthand how much hearing conversations like this can help. So if you know someone who could benefit from what we've talked about here today, please give it a share with them too. And come say hello on Instagram and TikTok at Lost and Found with Frankie. So thank you again for being in this space here with me, and I'll see you next time.